So each program will have panelists that will discuss the roles, the qualifications, and the application process of the fellowship. Students will be able to unmute and ask questions at the end of each presentation, or they can provide their questions in the chat that Ms. Jocelyn and I will monitor closely. So without further ado, we would like to introduce the Basta Fellowship with guest speaker Nicole Dillon, who is also a Brooklyn College alumni.
Yeah, thank you, Saima. Hello, everyone in the room. Thank you so much for having me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. As Simon mentioned, I am a Brooklyn College alum, so this is totally a full circle moment. I got my first internship through the Magna Center at Brooklyn College, so the resources are rich and valuable. I'm super excited to share more about the Basta Fellowship. Currently, I am a program manager at the Basta Fellowship, and I manage the 10-week fellowship portion that I'm going to talk to you about today. All right. So a little bit about Basta. Our mission is to create a bridge of opportunity between employers and diverse first-generation students and diversify the knowledge workforce at all levels, right? And we have a vision of a world in which a college degree provides equitable access to a choice-filled life. So here at Basta, we work with first-generation college students to help you secure a really great first job after graduation, right? And so we launched 4 years ago. And since then, we've supported over 500 fellows in our fellowship program, and that number is increasing as we continue to have new cohorts and new fellows. And so far, many of our Basta fellows are working at organizations like the ones that you see on our screen. NBC, Bloomberg, JustWorks, Andros, Snapchat, and a host of other organizations. These are just a few that you may know, that you may be familiar with. And so I want to get a little bit into the actual fellowship. So there are 2 phases of the Basta Fellowship, right? In phase 1, there are 10 sessions and 3 workshops. And I want to make the distinction between a session and a workshop. A virtual session is our weekly 1.5-hour meeting that you'll meet with a smaller group of fellows from your cohort, while a workshop is a larger event where it may be a full day worth of workshop or content or a half day compared to a virtual session that's like a smaller group of a weekly session. All workshops and sessions are completely virtual. They happen on Zoom. We get to know each other. We become tech whizzes with Zoom. So everything happens virtually. But in this 10-week journey, this is what we cover, right? So you see some of the topics here. We cover star stories, how to write a personal narrative. We spend 3 weeks on networking, where you'll practice networking, you'll get the skills that you need, and you'll get it in real time because we bring in volunteers from our volunteer force so that you can actually practice meeting and talking to professionals. We work on analyzing job descriptions, right? How to dig into and read and understand a job description, right? How to answer the question, why this company, right? For folks on the call who have gone to interviews, a question that you often hear is, why do you want to work for this company? And sometimes that's a hard question for young people to answer or for college students to answer. And so we really dig into how do we answer that question, why this company? We spend time building cover letters. And then our last virtual session is on interview prep, right? How to prepare for an interview. Our 3 workshops, as you see, happen at the beginning, the middle, and the end. And again, our workshops are our longer sessions where we may spend a full day going through a particular topic. So our first kickoff workshop covers strengths, identities, and resumes, right? We jump into mining our strengths and naming our strengths, identifying our strengths. So that will be the base and the theme that we'll use to go through the 10 weeks. Workshop 2 is on informational interviews right here in the middle, as you may see. And then our final closeout workshop, we revisit interviews after our virtual session 10. So this is a little bit about what the 10-week portion of the fellowship looks like. This is, again, phase 1 of 2 phases. And as you may notice, though this is a fellowship program that helps young people get jobs after, or first generation college students get jobs after graduation, we spend a chunk of time building a bank or a toolkit that you'll need so that you can hit the ground running and start applying in phase 2. So that brings us to phase 2. Right. Once we finish this 10-week fellowship of weekly virtual sessions and 3 workshops, you then move on to phase 2, where you receive access to our job board, the Basta job board, and you'll work weekly with a career coach to make sure that you are submitting quality applications. Right. So that's what this program looks like. You'll have 10 weeks of content and building your application toolkit. Then in phase 2, you hit the ground running in applying to jobs that are on our job board and that you may find on your own. Now, does this mean that in phase 1, you absolutely cannot be applying to jobs? No, right? But it just means that in phase 1, we focus on moving through a course together. And then in phase 2, you go straight on into, you spend most of your time applying to different jobs. So that's a little bit about phase 1 and phase 2. Now, in terms of the application, right, getting into the actual application, the fellowship is a good fit for you if you are a first generation graduate. So that means that your parents did not complete a 4-year degree, right? It's also a good fit for you if you are seeking full-time employment after graduation, if you are open to a range of entry-level roles in corporate and nonprofit organizations, and if you are on track to graduation from a 4-year institution between May of this year, May 2021, and December of 2022. So that's the graduation window for this cohort. This fellowship is not a good fit for you if you are interested in pursuing a graduate school within a year after graduation. And it might not be a good fit for you if you're interested in pursuing a career within the health field. That means medicine, physical therapy, nursing, acting, fine arts like acting, or hard sciences like biology and chemistry, right? And so our application is currently open. And so we talk a little bit here about our programming dates, right? So to participate in the summer program that is open right now, you must be available to attend all of the workshop dates you see listed here. If you're interested, you might want to take a screenshot, but I can also share this information with the folks from the Magnet Center. And our application is due by June 25th. That's not tomorrow, but next Friday. And so the application takes about 25 to 35 minutes to complete. And if you're considering submitting an application, you should complete the application in one sitting, right? There are 2 short answer questions in the application, and you'll see the application questions here, right? Tell us about a time when you demonstrated ownership, meaning that you were proactive and took full responsibility of something. And we're specifically looking for the steps that you took and the intended outcome, right? So I'm giving you the game right now, so you'll get an idea of the question if you're considering submitting an application. And the second short answer can be found here at this link. And again, I'll share that with you. After that, you will see a confirmation screen after you've submitted your application. I'm actually going to share in the chat a link that you can take with you for more information. But otherwise, that is an overview of the Basta Fellowship. And so I'm going to open it up for anyone if they have any questions. Okay, so Michelle asked, are there opportunities for people who graduated in 2017, but no fellowships like this existed? So for the folks who graduated in 2017, I would say that the Basta Fellowship is probably not the right fit for you. A lot of the job opportunities and the partnerships that we have are geared towards recent graduates. And we consider a recent grad, or employers and recruiters consider a recent grad, about 1 year out from graduation. And so this might not be the right fit for someone who graduated in 2017, but I'm sure that the Magna Center may have some resources for folks who graduated earlier than that. Francis asks in the chat, major doesn't matter for this program unless it's connected to the mentioned careers. So your major doesn't necessarily matter. As I mentioned here, as you see on this screen, if you are interested in fields like medicine, physical therapy, or biochemistry, acting, we don't have the resources and the tools to support those types of jobs in this program. But if you are open to a variety of careers in nonprofit organizations and in corporate organizations, you are welcome to apply. All right, let's see the next question. What is the difference between a fellowship and an internship? It's a great question. And so a fellowship, in my understanding, a fellowship is a program where you can gain insight, gain resources, gain knowledge that may help you in an internship or in a career. An internship is similar to a fellowship, and someone, Paula or Jocelyn can help me out here. An internship is an opportunity for you to get exposure to a different career field or get experience in a particular organization or industry that you may be interested in. And you often may get credit for an internship, whereas a fellowship you might not be able to get credit for. And so that's some of the differences between a fellowship and an internship. All right, I see another question in the chat. Romario, are there opportunities for graduate students or just undergrads, right? This is a great question. So the Basta Fellowship is specifically for undergraduate students and who are within the graduation window. But that's a great question. So Famita says, you graduate in 2023, can you apply to the fellowship? So for this particular cohort, the summer cohort, we are looking for folks who are graduating in the graduation window of May 2021. That's this semester, and December 22. So that's next fall. However, we have an application that opens quite often. And so the next round of applications that may open in the fall will cater to your graduation window. All right, let's see. Awesome, Elena says she wants to apply. Yes, absolutely, submit your application. So Anum asks, is the entire program 10 weeks? So let me just clarify. The phase 1 of the program is 10 weeks. And this is where we have our weekly virtual sessions where you are building your toolkit, learning how to write a cover letter, learning how to network, learning how to write a star story and write a personal narrative. That's phase 1, and that is 10 weeks. Phase 2 will support you until you get a job, right? You go into phase 2 and you work weekly with a career coach, and they support you until you get your first job. Right? So that is ongoing support until you land your first job. All right, the second short answer you can find out once you go ahead and go to the application link, and I'm gonna drop that in the chat in a moment. And Michelle, great question. This program is completely free. You do not have to pay for anything, and it is also 100% virtual, happens all on Zoom. Is this going to be around next year? Yes, absolutely. So we continue to accept new cohorts of students. This is for the summer cohort. So these dates are for the upcoming summer program. We do have a fall program and then a spring program next year. So the ball keeps rolling. If you just check in with us, or I can send you a link to our LinkedIn page and you'll see the updates for new cohorts as they come open, as the applications open. And so again, another question in the chat about master's students. So no, the Basta Fellowship is for undergraduate students who are graduating within the window of May 21 and December 22. All right, Ashley asks a question: what companies have past participants been in? And this is just a snapshot of a few companies that some of our fellows are currently working at. Business management degrees can get you a variety of different jobs. And so I just encourage you to keep an open mind. But yeah, these are a few of the organizations that our Basta fellows are currently working at. I would say that your majors are important, but what we focus on is your strengths, right? Your strengths and your interests. So at the beginning of the fellowship, we do a deep dive into what your professional preferences are, right? We do an assessment where you can learn about whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, whether you prefer a very predictable environment or an unpredictable environment. We pair those types of learnings about yourself, that level of self-awareness, with your strengths, what you're good at, what you're interested in. And sort of we move from that place based as opposed to solely thinking about your major, right? So some students come into the fellowship and they are computer science majors and they know off the bat that they want to be a software engineer. But then there are students who are English majors, like you said in the chat, there are students who are English majors and are still figuring it out. And that's okay, right? And so what we do is we focus on our strengths, we focus on our interests, we focus on what we're good at, and we try to allow fellows to gain exposure to a variety of careers and industries so that they can make an informed choice, but based on self-awareness.
Great.
Right. Thank you, Nicole. So we have another question from Ebony. So you will all work with us to find a career that is connected to our major. My major is early childhood, so I would like to work with children.
Yeah, Ebony, that's a great question. I think it's similar to what we just mentioned, right? So yes, your major is early childhood, but we would focus on if you know exactly what you want to do, if you have that level of clarity, that's amazing. But we do focus heavily on your strengths, what you're good at, your self-awareness, and your professional preferences, right? So we move from that place. So the summer cohort, the kickoff workshop happens on Friday and Saturday, the dates here, July 23rd and the 24th. That is our kickoff workshop. So Friday evening and then a Saturday full day of workshop. From there, the weekly sessions are 1 day a week for 10 weeks. 1 day a week in the evening, or not in the evening, but you're able to select a time that works for you, right? So our weekly virtual sessions are 1.5 hours long, and you're able to select a time that works best for you. And so no, they're not 5 days a week. Also, will there be specific times? Yep, so in your application, you're able to select the dates and times that might work best for your schedule. And then it's confirmed once you're accepted into the program.
Thanks, Nicole. So we do want to ask one more question just for the students. So if students have more questions and, how do they want to find out more? Like, how can they contact you?
Absolutely. So you can contact me. I'm going to write my email address and the Basta email address in the chat. And so feel free to reach out and we will absolutely answer any other questions that you have. I'm going to drop that in the chat.
Thank you, Nicole. And once you provide that in the chat, I guess, do you have any last minute advice for potential students who are interested in applying? And how can a fellow make the best out of their experience if chosen to be part of the program?
Yeah, this is a great question. My one piece of advice is to lean in, right, to all of the resources that are here on this call. There are so many amazing resources that are available to you. And my advice is to be present and to show up for yourself in this fellowship and in any program that you choose to pursue. As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, I am a Brooklyn College alum, and my first internship, I worked with Natalia to get it, and it literally was the launching pad for my career. And so you showing up on this call is phase step one, right? So my advice to you is to continue to pursue the things that will benefit you, and just continue to say yes, right? Come from a place of yes, and be present as you submit your applications. Show up as yourself. Yeah.
We're going to keep track of time. We're going to go off with our next panelist and presenter, who will be Maria Elena from StreetWise Partners, introducing their fellowship program. You can take it away.
Hi everyone. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to share my screen. All right, perfect. Okay, so hi everyone. So my name is Maria Elena. I'm the Community Outreach and Intake Manager at StreetWise, and I'm super excited to get an opportunity to talk to you. We've been partnering with Brooklyn College. I think it's already been a year. I think we started last year, and it's just so exciting to continue to grow the partnership. We've had a few Brooklyn College students in our program, and we're just excited for the opportunity to continue to spread the word and hopefully get some of you to join us this fall as well. So a little bit of background on StreetWise. So we're a professional development mentorship program, and we have a very unique program where we pair our participants with mentors that work in the field that they ideally want to go into. And as they go through our program, they gain all the tools, all the resources, all the access to networks that are needed to find employment and keep employment. I'm sure you guys have heard this before, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Unfortunately, in a place like New York, that's a big thing. There's so much competition in terms of jobs. There's so many different doorways that you have to go through. And so having a mentor that can take you under their wing and show you the ropes of the field that you want to go into and connect you with those people that can really refer you and make the decision of bringing you into the company, it's huge. And so we know that not everybody has access to those big important networks that really help you move forward in your career, especially first generation college students. If you're the first in your family that you're looking to go into a specific field, you might not have those connections. You have your bachelor's degree, you're super qualified in terms of the skills and being able to do the job, but you're lacking that network, lacking that mentorship that can really propel you forward in your career. So that's what we offer. And again, it's very, very rare. I know that there's not many mentorship programs in New York that are for adults. Our program we do have students in our program, but it's for adults. Anybody 18 years and older can apply to help you through the process of looking for internships and jobs. And so our biggest office is in New York. This is where we're based out of, but we also have a program in DC and in Detroit. So if you know anybody in those areas and you think this would be a good fit for them, let them know. We do our program there as well. And then we do our program 3 times a year. So we do the program at the very beginning of the year. That's our winter cohort. Then we do a spring cohort, and then we do a fall cohort. So that would be the next one coming up that, if you guys would be interested, that's the one that you would be applying for. And so in terms of our impact, we're super proud to always share our numbers. 85% of our participants graduate from the program. And then when they do, they always say that their professional network has increased immensely as part of being part of the program, normally by 100 people or more, which is music to our ears, because again, a big part of our program is to leverage mentorship and leverage connections to help our participants find those job opportunities. In terms of employment rate, between 6 months to a year after graduation, 70% of our mentees are employed full-time, and then they see their salaries, their annual income increase, normally between 20 and 30K. So it's a really substantial increase. And so in terms of the program itself, you might be asking yourself, well, how does it work? How does it go? So this is basically the slide that will let you know. So the program is actually a 1-year program, but we divide it into 2 phases. And so the first phase is 13 weeks of weekly sessions. And so the way that it's going to run is that if you get accepted into the program, you're going to get matched with a mentor, or sometimes 2. Our ideal ratio is two mentors per mentee, but at a minimum, everybody's going to have 1 mentor that's their particular mentor they're going to be working very closely with. And the cool thing about this is that your mentor is going to go with you to the session. So you're working with your mentor all throughout the process. So we do weekly sessions for those 13 weeks. They're either Tuesdays or Wednesdays from 6:30 to 8:30. And so your mentor would go with you to those sessions. And there's going to be other mentees and other mentors in the group as well. So it ends up being a big group of people that gets together on a weekly basis, kind of like a workshop type of setting. And we go over different topics each week. There's a curriculum that we follow. We also ask that our mentees and mentors communicate in between sessions as well. So you're going to have your weekly meeting, the weekly workshop, but we're also asking you to set up an additional time just for you and your mentor to catch up and to continue to work together outside of the session. The whole point of this phase is that you are going to be working in the curriculum very, very closely with your mentor so that you're building that foundation of that relationship. I'm not sure if you guys have been part of some other mentorship programs or just like in any mentorship capacity with someone else. It's really hard to build that relationship from scratch. It's very difficult to just be paired with someone and be like, okay, now this person's going to mentor you and everything's going to work great and they're going to just, tell you everything that they know. It doesn't really work that way. And it's kind of strange and awkward at the beginning. And so we created the program in this format so that relationship just naturally evolves and happens. You don't have to worry about reaching out to your mentor, to set up a time. The first part of the program, those meetings are going to be set up for you. You're going to be working for 13 weeks, weekly meetings, then weekly catch-ups. So by the time that you get to phase 2, that relationship's already been built and you're comfortable working with each other. And so there's also under phase 1, the other thing to make a note of is that there's assignments that you're going to be working on. All of the assignments obviously related to what we do in programs. So your resume, for example, is going to be one of your assignments. We have you do informational interviews, work on your elevator pitch. And so all those things, you're going to submit them to us as an assignment so that you're not only working with your mentor, but you're also going to get feedback from staff as well. So you get a lot of feedback from different people in terms of all the things that you're working on. Once you're done with phase 1, that's when you go into phase 2. And so phase 2 is 9 more months of continuing to work with your mentor. But at this point of the program, this portion is a little bit more unstructured. You're not going to have weekly sessions anymore. We are confident that from this point on, you can continue to work together with your mentor at your own pace. You can set the agenda, and then we're going to check in with each other, with you and your mentor to make sure that you guys are doing okay, that if you need any additional resources. But for the most part, during phase 2, you continue to work together at your own pace. You can set the agenda. You can say, okay, let's meet up every 2 weeks. These are the things I'm working on. These are the things that I want to get some feedback on. We do a couple check-ins where we bring the group together again, just because it's nice to get together and make sure everybody's on the right track. But for the most part, during phase 2, it's a little bit more unstructured in that way. And obviously, I always get the question, what happens after the year? Your mentor's not going to disappear off the face of the earth after the year. We just have to put a beginning and an end to the program. So in that sense, it's 2 phases and it's a 1-year program, but most of our mentors and mentee pairs continue their relationship for years. So it's just going to evolve with time. And then at that point, you'll be considered an alumni of our program. So you continue to be in contact with us in different ways. And so on that note, once you become an alumni of the program, we continue to engage with you. We continue to invite you to workshops, to corporate partner events. We will consider you for any entry-level jobs or internships that come our way. We are slowly but surely building our job placement part of our alumni services department. And so that means that anytime that corporate partners come to us and they let us know that they're hiring, we always look at our mentee pool, at our mentee data, alumni data at that point, and try to figure out who would be a good fit for that role that the company's coming to us for, and then make that connection, make that referral. So you'll have access to that. And then just constant support from StreetWise. We always say that as long as you stay connected with us, we'll stay connected with you. There's many other ways that we can help out. We have alumni come to us and say like, hey, I'm ready to move on with my career and another step, and we connect them with other people in that field. It's never ending, but as long as you stay connected with us, we'll continue to support you and guide you in your career and development. And then in terms of the goals of the program, so the whole point of the program is to help our participants gain all the tools and resources and access that's needed to be really successful in the process of looking for internships or jobs. And so we're going to be concentrating on your resume, on your cover letter, your interviewing skills and your networking skills, just concentrating on identifying your goals and setting your strengths and setting some really good goals for yourself. So for example, I know that a lot of people think like, okay, I'm going to work on my resume and it's going to be this really great resume. And then once I have it, it's done. And that's the one that I'm going to be sending out to everybody. And unfortunately, that's not the way to go. You have to always look at the job that you're applying for and figure out, okay, does my resume really fit that description? If not, what do I need to highlight? What do I need to switch? So we work with you on that, on building those skills, because these are skills that you're going to need all throughout your career, not only now as you're starting your career and looking for that internship or that job tweaking your own resume, creating good cover letters, being a good, strong interviewer. This is going to come in handy all throughout your life, because we all eventually do end up leaving jobs, changing jobs, needing to move. So all these skills we're going to work on with you in the program, and you're going to get a chance to practice not only with your mentor, but also with other mentees and other mentors in the room as well. And I think that's a big plus of the program, that you're going to get a lot of feedback from different people, not just working with your mentor only. So then in terms of the schedule for the fall cycle, we're going to be starting in September 13, and it's going to go all the way to December 13. And then, like I said, the sessions are either Tuesdays or Wednesdays from 6:30 to 8:30. And then also outside of the regular sessions, we do special events for our mentees. We do a mock interview day, a speed networking day. We do corporate partner events. A big silver lining of the pandemic is that doing the events virtually is so much easier. So now we've been able to increase the amount of events that we do. So it's a super exciting part, you know, given everything that's happened, and at least some glimmer of good came out of it, at least for StreetWise, is that we have been able to increase those events. And then we also do a public speaking workshop. We know that a lot of our participants want to work on that, and it's a wonderful workshop. We bring the same trainer over and over in, and our mentees end up loving that workshop. But again, outside of the regular sessions, there's also going to be a lot of different events that you're going to be able to attend. And then these are some of the places where our mentors work. We always get asked. So just to give you a sense of the places where they work, we put a few of the most recognizable places on the slide. But of course, this doesn't encompass all of it, but just to give you a quick idea. And then in terms of requirements, this is and I know that all of you are students or recent grads, so you guys will fit all the descriptions here, looking for full-time or part-time work or an internship, minimum high school diploma or an equivalent, maximum bachelor's degree, you know, so all these things I kind of go over when I'm talking to students. I don't really have to go through the requirements that in depth. And then one thing that it's important is that we do have certain areas that we really do focus on. So our program is for participants who are looking to go into more like corporate kinds of jobs. And these are the fields that we really do have a lot of knowledge and expertise, and where most of our mentors are coming from. So we do bring in mentees that are interested in going into accounting, finance, marketing and advertising, technology, and human resources. Those are our biggest areas that we concentrate on. And then the application process is super simple. We'll send you an application. It's less than 5 minutes to fill it out. It's very quick and easy. And then once we receive your application, we bring you in for an interview. It's done via Zoom. You'll be able to select the time that works for you. We'll send you a link with the times that we have available. And then after the interview, that's when we go back as a team and we make decisions, and we get back to everybody via email. Because today I shared so much about the program with you guys, the first step would be to attend an info session, but this counts. It's an info session for you guys. I wouldn't want you to have to do it all over again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop in the chat box a link to a quick form. It's just going to ask you your name, your email, and then that you attended today's session. And that way you'll be in our system. And once we start recruiting for the fall cycle, which will be at some point in July, then I'll reach out to you guys and send you the application. That way you don't have to go through an info session. Just be on the lookout for an email from me. Check your spam, because sometimes, unfortunately, that's where they end. And it will just have a link. Click on that link, fill the application out, and we'll get the process going. All right. Thank you so much for giving me your attention. I hope I made it okay with the time.
Our very first question is going to be from an actual career coach from the center. So how many mentees usually participate in the program each year?
So I don't have the yearly, it's normally, so for the fall, we're going to have between 120 and 130 mentees. Our spring and fall are our biggest cycles. And then we normally do a smaller cohort in the winter, just because that time is a little bit difficult and it just doesn't work for everybody. So in the winter, we sometimes, I think this year we did 75 to 80 mentees. So around that. And we're growing. So we're hoping maybe by next year, we'll be able to do even bigger cohorts. We also are careful of not making them too big, because we want to make sure that we keep the quality of the program and the attention that we give to both mentors and mentees. But for the fall cycle, it will be around that number.
So Michelle asked, am I eligible if I graduated in 2017?
Yes. So the program is, like I said, it's not only for students or recent grads. Our program is for adults. So anybody that's looking for support and guidance in the process of looking for internships or jobs is welcome to apply. So we do end up having a lot of students. We do have a lot of students in the program, but we also have recent grads. We have people that have graduated a long time ago. We have participants that didn't go to college, that went straight from high school to a more tech program, for example, like an Empower or Per Scholas program. We have adults that have been out of the workforce for different reasons, and then they're going back in, and it's really hard for them to get their foot back in the door. And so for them as well. So it ends up being a big, diverse group of people. We also have skilled immigrants as well. That, for them, you know, they've had careers in their countries and then they come to the US, and it's really, really hard to get back on that career as well. So some of them even have master's degrees. For them, we do make that exception because we know that it's really hard to, some of them even have to start from scratch here in the US. So it ends up being a big group of diverse people. So yes, it doesn't matter. It's not only for students. If you graduated in 2017, that's perfectly fine. If you're looking for help in the process of looking for work, yes, that's perfectly fine.
So Lena also asks, what tips do you have for the StreetWise interview?
Okay, so for the interview, we get this question all the time. You don't have to prep for the interview in any way. It's not a job interview. I know that many applicants are like, oh my God, I need to impress them. What do I need to do to, you know, and it's really not. It's an intake for a program. So what we really want to do is get to know you and figure out why you want to be part of the program, what you're hoping to achieve, what's maybe been an issue or a barrier for you in the past. We want to make sure that this is the correct program for you. And so like you guys could see from today's event, there's amazing programs out there. And so as you might be listening to me speak and be like, this is great, but it might not be the best program for you. You might be better served in a different program. And so that's what we're trying to figure out in the interview. So I always actually start the interviews by saying, you don't have to impress me anyway. This is not a job interview. You know, take a second to relax, and it's just going to be a conversation. I'm going to ask you about yourself, about your story, about your hopes and your goals, and then we'll figure out, you know, if this is the correct program for you. So no worries about the interview, please. It's done by myself or one of my colleagues, and I like to think of myself as a non-threatening presence. So I hope that you, as soon as you walk into, you know, come into the Zoom, you feel comfortable and you can just open up and we can have a nice, relaxed conversation.
Yeah, thank you. So we have another question from Francis. So Francis asks, you don't need any prior job/volunteer experience to apply for this.
No. So like I said, again, it ends up being like a big diverse group of people. So there might be people in the group that have experience and some that don't, you know, and especially depending on what point you are in your career. You know, if you're a student and you're looking for an internship, it's totally understandable that you might not have that much experience in your resume, or you might have experience that's not really related to, you know, quote unquote, because we do end up, you know, helping you figure out all the transferable skills that are there. But you know, you might want to go into finance, for example, and have experience working in retail or in food industry, for example. That's fine. We have the gamut. We have people that have had a lot of experience and are having a hard time getting back into their careers. And then we have students that are just starting out and don't have that much experience, and everything in between. So don't worry about that. Again, the program is to help you, match you with a mentor that can really take you under their wing and show you the ropes of the industry that you're hoping to go into, and more importantly, connect you. It's just, it's kind of annoying and sad at the same time that this is so important, but it's the reality, especially in a place like New York. Your network is hugely important, and you can be the most qualified for the job. And if someone else has a good referral or has someone in the company that they know, that person's probably going to end up getting the job and not you, unfortunately. And so with our program, we want to make sure that everybody that comes through our program is leaving the program with a much bigger network, because we see how that network helps, you know, not only even just referring you, but prepping you. You know, we've had so many mentees that come to us and they're like, oh my God, I have an interview with Morgan Stanley. And we can say, no problem. We have 20 mentors that work in Morgan Stanley. Set up an informational interview with them, talk about how their experience was so they can help you prep. You know, these are the things that you can get from your network that are so valuable. You know, having someone that can tell you, this is how it went for me, this is what you should be looking for, and this is how you should prep, really increases the chances of you going in and actually landing that job. So that's the whole point of the program, to really expand your network and to guide you in that process.
Yeah, so such insightful information. Thank you so much for presenting, Maria. So for any other questions, feel free to give your contact information in the chat so students.
I'm gonna put my email right now. Feel free, any other questions that you guys might have, feel free to email me. I might not get back to you immediately, but I get back to everybody. So don't be shy, reach out to me. StreetWise partners.org, making sure that I don't, so it's Maria dash, is that, I always forget how to say that one. Is it a dash or a slash? A dash, Maria dash Elena at streetwisepartners.org. So feel free to email me. I have your information now if you filled out that form. So if you are interested, then you'll be hearing from me sometime in July with the application link. So just be on the lookout. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to hopefully have a few of you join us for the fall. And again, reach out with any questions that you might have.
Yeah, thank you so much, Maria. So next up, we're going to be hearing from Co-op Careers representative, Jamie, who will be introducing fellowships from Co-op. And she is also a Brooklyn College alumni.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Saima, for that intro. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Thank you, everyone, for participating today. Really looking forward to present Co-op to you all. And just a brief introduction about myself. So my name is Jamie DeLiz. I am the recruiting manager, one of the recruiting managers here at Co-op Careers. I oversee the data analytics track. And as Simon mentioned, I'm also a proud Brooklyn College alum. So really happy to be back on campus in a virtual campus setting, if you will. So what is Co-op Careers? So we are a nonprofit organization that is geared toward helping recent college graduates overcome underemployment by providing them with the necessary digital skills as well as peer connections, right? Making sure that you have those technical skills ready for breaking into both either the digital marketing or data analytics industries, but of course, having a really supportive community to back you up along the way. And way back when, so 5 years, 6 years ago, our co-founder, Kalani Leifer, he was a high school teacher in the Bronx. He realized that there was a challenge, right? A number of students, especially his BIPOC students, faced a challenge that once they entered college, did everything that they needed to do, realized that they found themselves sort of stuck after, right? Not necessarily landing a job right away. And one of the challenges that we are looking to combat is, of course, overcoming underemployment. And we've realized that 1/2 of recent college graduates fall under unemployment or they are underemployed. And 60% of that 1/2 are BIPOC individuals, right? And we've also realized that even 5 years later, 2/3 of these individuals still find themselves working in a career where their job does not require a bachelor's degree. They're earning less than what they most likely should earn, right? You go to college thinking about, all right, I'm going to land this job, I'm going to make X amount of money, but unfortunately, it is not the case for most. And we are looking to close that social economic gap. And we've realized that individuals are 9 times more likely to get hired with an internal referral, right? And that brings us back to the sense of community. And are 6 times more likely to also land a job if they have a strong network base based on zip code and school. And we are very proud to work with CUNY, and we do have a slide that is dedicated to that as well. And so one way to combat this challenge, right, is incorporating new tools and old rules, right? That cliche saying that Maria mentioned earlier, right? It's what you know and also who you know, right? Those essential skills that you've learned in college, even in your prior work experience, right? Or maybe some of the skills that you are looking to learn. Here in the program, we dedicate our time to enhancing those technical skills, as well as helping you grow your network, right? Because it's equally important. So, you know, you have an opportunity to apply to a job, land an interview, and maybe someone who was in the program, right? An alumni of the program who currently works in the industry that you are looking to get into or break into, refers you and says, hey, I know someone, bring them in. So that's what we're all about here at Co-op. But first, let's talk about our program structure and how that looks. So we are currently recruiting for our fall 2021 program, which starts on August 12th. But just to provide you some insight on how we structure our curriculum and our program, So we have what we like to cohorts, a cohort, and these 16 individuals come from all different walks of life, right? They're either unemployed or underemployed, or may have studied something other than, digital marketing or data analytics in college, but they're all coming together for one goal in mind, is to land a job, but also grow their network. And each cohort is led by 4 co-op captains, and these captains are not only industry professionals, but they're co-op alum. So our program is alumni run. That is one of the ways that many of our alumni like to pay it forward and become mentors, right? And these captains, they're taking time out of their evenings to come from their jobs and teach our students. So they not only serve as mentors to them, but as a guiding force, right? Leading them in the way of what it's like working in these industries. And I always like to call this a free grad school, if you will. So our program is 200 hours for 4.5 months from Monday through Thursday, 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. As we understand that many students might have prior obligations, and we like to set some time in the evening as well, so our captains will be able to teach the curriculum. And we do have a 90% attendance rate. So that equals to 2 absences per month. As we understand, this is an extensive program. There may be times where you need to take a break, right? We put an emphasis on mental health, and we definitely want to ensure that our students are in a safe space and a safe environment. So as long as you provide advance notice to your captains or program manager, that is more than okay. But let's talk about the curriculum itself. So our captains center the curriculum around our 3 program pillars, which are head, heart, and hustle. So learning those technical skills, right? 100 hours we allocated learning more about digital marketing or data analytics, whereas our heart pillar, that emphasizes those soft skills, right? Just as equally as important as learning those hard skills, you need to know how to effectively communicate, right? Especially if you are out looking for a job, potentially networking. And then hustle, right? We are New Yorkers. We know a lot about hustling, and this is where we help you with your resume prep, mock interview prep, building your self-confidence so that you are ready to enter the workforce. And one thing to note about co-op is we are a career development program, not a job placement program. However, I do have a slide dedicated to our awesome partnerships team, and we'll talk a little bit more about how our networking style works. And just to give a little bit of an overview of our program structure once more and the support that each co-opper will receive. So as mentioned, you'll have 16 members to one cohort with 4 co-op captains. And there will be 1 senior captain typically within these cohorts. And a senior captain is someone who's paid it forward multiple times. And then right above, you'll have the executive captains. Now, executive captains have mid to senior level roles within the industries. They've paid it forward multiple times, and they provide support and resources to our captains to ensure that they're running the curriculum correct and appropriately. And then overseeing the entire show, our producer, if you will, is the program manager. Our program manager runs the curriculum, makes sure that everything is up to date, and make sure that all the captains and the students are readily prepared to take on the next 4.5 months of program. And just a deeper look into the support that each co-opper will receive. So we have, as mentioned previously, captains and program managers, but one thing that's unique to co-op is we also have a social work team. So our social work team runs our hard skills workshops, right? Really building those soft skills. So you will have the support from a social work intern as well as a social work HQ member who will not only provide, mental health resources, which are of course free for all co-oppers, but also if you need time to just talk about how your day is going, we have those resources available to you. And one thing to note, we also have senior mentors. Now, senior mentors come in on a monthly basis. They have 10 to 15 years of experience. And it doesn't even have to be digital marketing or data analytics, right? But they have industry experience where they'll be able to talk about what it's like growing in your profession. And these could be recruiters from companies. These could be, other, CEOs that come back and want to just pay it forward and provide some advice and insights to students. Now, our tracks. So here in New York, we have 2 tracks, digital marketing and data analytics. If you are someone who is creative, loves to work in a collaborative environment, and has an interest in advertising, marketing, then digital marketing is the track for you. We teach the basic fundamentals of Excel, SEO, which is organic search. So pretty much non-paid ads on the Google search engine. programmatic, Google Ads, Google Analytics, and Facebook ads. And at the end, we will have a client project. So our students get to look into mock data or work with a client to see how you can build a media plan, for example. For data analytics candidates, this is someone who is research oriented, loves working with numbers, is a problem solver. So if you are any of those, then data analytics is right for you. And we also teach the basic fundamentals of Excel, SQL. And one thing that we are introducing in our program this semester is Python. Really excited about that. And some other data visualization tools like Tableau and Salesforce. So really looking at raw data, cleaning it or manipulating it, and making it easily digestible for audiences, and using data to tell a story. And our client projects, we also work with clients looking into their databases, real world data as well, to see how businesses can perform better, or really just looking at those businesses to see what insights you can draw from. And as I mentioned previously, our awesome social work team is here to support you, not only for your mental health, but providing those extra resources centered on our soft skills series workshops. Effective communication, identifying your strengths, right? So important when you are entering the workforce. Financial resources. So let's say you land a job, you're making X amount of money. How do you budget it wisely? So we have an awesome alum who came back from working in the finance industry, came to co-op to pay it forward, and is providing these workshops to our students and alumni. And of course, diversity and inclusion, right? Because that's what we're here for at the end of the day, is to make these industries more diverse. And then some networking opportunities. And now this is where the hustle aspect comes in. We'll work with you on your resume, building your LinkedIn, mock interview prep, cover letters. I know cover letters might be a thing of the past, but it's so important to write down, everything that your skills, why you want the job in one page. Email etiquette, professional etiquette. And back when I was in the program, we had to apply to at least 100 jobs. Now it's 50. This is not a requirement. It's just getting you used to the spirit of hustling at the end of the day, and really just navigating the overall job market. And so what really want to put an emphasis briefly on why social work. So at Co-op, we really believe in creating safe spaces, and we understand it's not easy accessing these resources, right? To enhance your mental health and well-being. So we have these resources available to our students and alumni. And speaking of our alumni, what happens when our students complete the program? So we continue with financial coaching or financial one-on-one workshops as well, ongoing employment growth support, so more professional development workshops. Say you were a student who learns digital marketing, but you wanted to learn a little bit more about data analytics. We have some workshops available to our alumni should they want to enhance their skill sets in those areas. Free access to social workers up to 1 year of program completion, and eligibility to work within program, right? Within co-op itself, part-time positions in recruiting, partnerships, things of that nature as well. In case you want to learn a little bit more about leadership skills, right? Organizational skills. So we're here to support you moving forward. And of course, everything looks different now in a virtual setting, but nonetheless, we have a number of different social mixers, virtual, and this is just to get into the spirit of community, right? Always wanting to make sure that is long lasting. And right now we have over 2,000 alumni nationally across New York City and San Francisco. We have more cohorts to come in LA, and we are looking to Chicago this cycle. So if you know anyone in Chicago, let them know Co-op is on their way. And we love CUNY. We love working with CUNY. We partner with CUNY. So right now we have over 900 CUNY alum within our program as well. And a number of them also work in HQ. I am one of them. I can say, Nicole mentioned previously that everything sort of came full circle. Definitely resonates with me. Our track record. So when our students complete the program, they become alumni. 4 and 5 of our alumni are fully employed within anywhere, honestly, because even in the program, we've had some of our students land entry-level roles. So typically anywhere between 4 months to 1 year of program completion, and earn up to $50,000 starting salary, and can earn up to $75,000 at 5 years. And how do we make this work? Have to give a shout out to our awesome partnerships team, who really does create a number of networking opportunities. So here are some of our sponsors. Our sponsors provide financial resources to our community. So just to keep the lights running at the end of the day, we are a free, fully funded program. So Google, BlackRock, Salesforce, they provide a number of financial resources to us as well. And some of our volunteers, such as Microsoft, Barclays, Salesforce, and Horizon Media, they volunteer their time to work on initiatives for the program, right? Keep our curriculum up to date. And one thing to note, at the end of each cycle, we do have a talent match. So a talent match is one of our largest networking events where our students can network with recruiters, hiring managers, and other industry professionals. And essentially, we like to call it a speed dating type of event because that's what it is. You'll spend 5 minutes with each recruiter networking, making sure that you are building those connections. And here are some of our top employers that we work with, and a number of our alumni currently work within these agencies, excuse me. And this list has grown exponentially within the 5 years or so. So some of our top employers are IPG, and some of their umbrella and sister companies are Reprise. And then you have Publicis Group, OMG, WPP. And again, these are digital marketing and data analytics industries. However, that leads me into application requirements, right? So as I mentioned, although we are focusing on digital marketing and data analytics, I will say from experience being an alum of the program myself, coming from a journalism background, I learned a lot, and your skills can be utilized in any industry. But first, let's go through some eligibility requirements. So you've earned a bachelor's degree before the first night of the fall 2021 program, which is August 12th. Or you are a recent college graduate who has earned a bachelor's degree within the last 5 years. So if you are on track to graduating before August 12th, you are eligible. If you have graduated within the last 5 years or so, you are eligible. You are unemployed or underemployed. Now, underemployed just simply meaning that your current job description does not require a bachelor's degree and or you're earning less than $50,000 per year. Authorized to work in the United States. I mentioned that we are a career development program, not a job placement program, but we work with a number of employers who do seek talent who are authorized to work in the United States. Must be at least 21 years of age by the first night of program. We do not have an age limit. Just as long as you've graduated within the past 5 years, you are considered eligible. And also available 4 nights a week from 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday. Now, those are our main eligibility requirements. However, you can also be at least one of the following: a first-generation college graduate or a financial aid recipient. So throughout your college career, you've had public financial aid such as SEEK, Pell Grants, and TAP. But moreover, who are we looking for essentially, right? One thing to note, co-op is open to all majors, but we are looking for those who are interested in learning more about the industries, right? Naturally curious and loves learning digital skills, has an interest in critical thinking and problem solving, right? A number of times in these positions, you're going to, have clients come your way and say, hey, I need this and this done. So you have to really think on your feet, right? Most importantly, especially for co-op, you believe in the power of community and paying it forward, working in a team, right? Building those communication skills, and that can be utilized in any industry. And of course, ready to work hard and take control of your career. As I mentioned previously, we are a free, fully funded program, and we provide you all the resources necessary, but you also have to meet us halfway, right? This is where the hustle aspect comes in, where it's going to be you and the interview at the end of the day, right? Showcasing the skills that you've learned, those transferable skills, right? And really putting those skills together and saying, hey, I am here, I'm here for this role, and this is what I can offer to your company. And really just showing that sense of confidence, right? And we're here to support you along the way. And so want to share out some key dates, as I know I might be over time, and so my apologies. Our fall 2021 application deadline is on July 16th. Our final decision will be July 30th. So for those who've applied and gone through our interview process, our final decisions will be made July 30th. And the first night of program will be August 12th, orientation night, where you get to meet your fellow peers. It's a great time to just connect with the community. And come that Monday, you're ready to start working. And the last night of program will be on December 16th. Now, since we will have a Q&A, I definitely want to leave this slide on the screen. Should you have any questions or want to contact the team after, Darren Sadafal is our Senior Recruiting Manager for Digital Marketing. And please feel free to email me. I am the recruiting manager overseeing our data analytics track. And I just want to say thank you all again. I'm always excited to present co-op, and I'm definitely happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Jamie. That was a wonderful presentation. So Michelle asked, if I don't want to work in data analytics, but want to take certain part of the program like Python and Excel and mock interviews, etc., for other industries like academic research, would I be able to join?
That's a great question. So once you are in the program, you would have to attend for all like classes and all of the programs that we do teach, only because we want you to get the most of it, right? But it's definitely a great way. If you don't want to work in data analytics, you can definitely use these programs and skills and utilize it in other industries, as it's definitely you know, data analytics is something that is booming, and a lot of companies are catching up to speed when it comes to technology. So it's a great way. But I will say all students must participate in the 4-month program. And yes, sorry, I hope that answers your question. I'm trying to cut down on my words.
Thank you, Jamie. So for sake of time, we're gonna move on, but everyone remember to contact Jamie and everyone else from co-op as listed below. We'll also be sending out some resources and contact information as well from the center. But thank you so much for sharing, Jamie. It's always a pleasure to kind of like reunite with Brooklyn College alumni. So speaking of Brooklyn College alumni, we have another alumni panelist, Alexandra from Money Media, known as the Financial Times Company, with Hannah Glover and Andy Wilmot. So they will be introducing the Newsroom Fellowship along with some other coming mentorship programs. So let's give it up for Alexandra, Hannah, and Andy.
Thanks all for giving us some time today. So we do, and we'll hear from Hannah and Alexandra later. So we do represent the employer. We are the Financial Times, which is one of the largest and I guess most respected business publications globally. So we operate all over the world. I'm the group managing editor at Money Media, which is a part of the Financial Times. And Hannah and I oversee all of our editorial groups and teams. I'm going to start off, just give you like a little introduction to who we are, and then Hannah's going to talk a little bit about the internship and the fellowship programs, and Alexandra will kind of tell you about her journey to us and how she's found it. So let me just see if I can share my screen here. So we are a part of the FT called FT Specialist. Hopefully everyone can see that okay. And Money Media is a part of the FT Specialist. And what we do is we produce news and intelligence for specific industries. So the Financial Times writes for a broad business audience of executives, and we sort of drill down a little bit narrower than that. So we write for very specific industries for executives in those different areas. We are subscription revenue driven. So that means all of our revenue, most of our revenue comes from subscriptions as opposed to advertising, because we think if we're producing valuable news and intelligence, we should be able to charge people to read that. And we do that through corporate subscriptions. So we sell companies licenses, and then once they bought a license, all of their employees can get access to our publications. We have 10 titles across 3 regions. We also have MandateWire, which Alexandra is a part of, and we have about 75 editorial employees. We are a profitable, growing business. We've been around, the Money Media piece anyway has been around about 20 years or so. The FT goes back to the 19th century, but our particular part of it is about 20 years old. And it is a profitable, growing business, which is always good in these times. So what do we cover? We write about a lot of our titles cover the investment management world, and what that is it's the retirement space, pensions, 401ks. As you move into the workplace, and you'll probably end up setting up with a 401k plan, which will eventually help you to retire, hopefully. We write about foundations, endowments, mutual funds, exchange traded funds. So investment management is really a big piece of what we cover. We also have a couple of titles that focus on what we call governance, shareholder issues, and boards. So corporate boards, the boards of some of the largest companies in the U.S. How do they operate? How are decisions made at these large companies at the board level? And then we also have 3 titles which are focused on the insurance world: life insurance, property and casualty, which is like home insurance, auto insurance, and then health insurance. which is obviously right in the news right now. The Supreme Court just ruled on Obamacare this morning. So that's the kind of thing that we're covering in that publication. What do we write about? So if you do end up being a reporter for us, what do you write about? Well, we write about specific industries, but we also do write about broad topics that are going on in society, just through the lens of that specific industry. So diversity and inclusion has been a huge topic for us in the last couple of years, but certainly the last year. It's really moved up the agenda for a lot of companies, and we're really we're reporting quite in depth, not just what companies are saying, but what they're actually doing. Are they actually living up to some of the promises they're making and some of their goals? Regulation we write about a lot. Obviously, the industries we write about are typically in financial services. It's a very heavily regulated industry. Workforce issues also huge over the last year or so. I mean, we have been writing about companies leaving the office, going back to the office, thinking about going back to the office, canceling going back to the office. These are all things our readers are very interested in right now. What is the workforce going to look like for the future? Because it's changing very rapidly. Changing consumer preferences and attitudes. Every industry is being disrupted by digital and technology. So we write a lot about that, how people access financial services or whatever it is we're writing about. There's a lot of change going on out there. Environmental, social governance issues, also a huge topic right now. It's impacting the insurance industries. It's impacting investment management. These are things that we used to write about, but probably our readers weren't that interested in. Now they're much more interested in them, and so we continue to write about them. But they tend to, the readers are just focused on them a little bit more. And then what do we look for in a reporter? A couple of things. Curiosity, I think, is the main one, which is hopefully a prerequisite if you're a reporter. But these are industries which you might not think about. You might not have thought about business journalism. You might not think it's that interesting. So we want people who can come in and really just get interested in whatever it is they're writing about, and figure out a way to really understand the industries they're writing about, and get interested in it. Someone with an eye for details. Again, some of these industries fairly complex. You need to be very accurate. You need to have a good eye for digging into the weeds a little bit. Empathy, I say, just as far as trying to understand the people we're writing for. They're probably very different from a lot of us. Some of our publications are writing for board directors who are some of the wealthiest, most influential people in the U.S. Sometimes it's hard to put yourself in their shoes, but we want to be a reader-centric kind of organization. Somebody who likes talking to people. We don't want to do reporting via email. Really, we want you to be on the phone or get out there and talk to people and build relationships and get good original stories for us. And then ownership, pride, taking pride in what you do and whatever it is you're covering, your beat, your area of focus. Somebody who really wants to be the best at that. Someone who wants to be known as, I'm the person to read for learning more about that specific issue. And if you do want to learn more about us, that's the link. That's for the link to our career page, which will tell you about open positions, a little bit more about what it's like working for us. And then there's a Money Media separate website as well, which will tell you a little bit more about our products. So I rattled through that a little bit, but let me turn over to Hannah.
Something else that I think we've been very conscious of is when we're looking to recruit, right? So we are journalists, and I think there's people think about newspapers as maybe a hard industry in terms of careers and profitability, et cetera, and keeping a job and not being laid off. We're here to tell you that there is a world of journalism that's very vibrant and very robust, and that we really want to get people engaged. So when we look for as we're trying to recruit new people, we also recognize that as Andy said, a lot of our readers and the audiences and the topics we cover are a little maybe esoteric or not your people you've interacted every day or whatever it might be. And we want everyone to know, but they're just also people. So we're trying to make financial services a little more, we would like people to think about it as a career opportunity and something that you could really get into. So I guess what we're, like Andy said, we cover a lot of things that do impact people's real lives, and we want people to be able to see that. We're also looking for people, you know, when we go out and look for new talent, you know, Andy said it nicely when he talks about curiosity. I generally say we're looking for nerds, because a lot of what we do requires going through filings and going through different things to put things together. That said, we also recognize that when we look at job postings we have, you know, there is, you know, we get a certain number of applicants, but we'd also like to bring new people into our industry. So in order to do that, we have sort of two different programs that we have. One is we've had a longstanding internship program, and that's run by the FT. And so that is our parent company, and there are various roles in New York. So if you want to work for, you know, an editorial team, that's available. If you want to work on the commercial side, so our sales and marketing groups, or, you know, even upstairs, some of the distribution groups that actually do deal with paper, you know, that's an opportunity. If you want to work with our finance team, our HR team, they all accept interns, which are generally summer internships. And that is run through the FT side of the business. At Money Media, we've also this year introduced a fellowship program. So it is a one-year program. So I know earlier there's a question about what's the difference between a fellowship and an internship, and I think everybody defines it differently. In our structure, an internship is generally a summer program, or you know, maybe a 10 to 12 week program. The fellowship is a one-year program. We're offering full benefits and 1 year salary. And the goal is to really introduce people and get them hooked into what we think is really interesting and dynamic. And, you know, as we generally have, you know, Andy oversees our new products. And so we generally have new jobs opening. And we're kind of hoping that, you know, one of the fellows or both of the fellows will be interested in staying and working at one of the publications. So I know a lot of the other speakers talked about mentoring opportunities and coaching opportunities, and those programs all sound great. We are a little different in that we're just like just pure play employer, but the structure is, you know, Andy and I are going to work with people on a regular basis, meet with each of the fellows on a weekly basis to help, you know, make sure they're understanding their assignments, they're acclimated, give them an overview of the industries we cover. And then they will, after a little bit of training, go work with specific teams. So they will be reporting and they will kind of dive in. And we're here to coach, and our editors know that, you know, they want to coach and they want to introduce these things to people. And again, we want to have a newsroom that, you know, kind of represents the world around us, and not a newsroom that is just a bunch of financial journalists that stay in a small circle. And to do that, we realize we have to, you know, go out and make it happen. So again, this is a little different than our sort of first level of jobs, which tend to require 1 or 2 years experience in journalism. This really is for people who have no prior journalism internships or, you know, formal working experience or anything like that. But, you know, like Andy said, people are interested. I know there's a question earlier about, you know, what do English majors do? I was an English Spanish major, so here's where I am. You know, but this is, and we do take people from all sorts of different backgrounds in terms of education and what you've studied and that type of thing. So that is what we've introduced this year. And I think I'll pass it over to Alexandra, who could tell you about, you know, her experience at Money Media.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alexandra. I'm a reporter for Mandate Wire, one of Money Media's verticals. I write about institutional investment, specifically pensionary investments, how retirement assets are being allocated. And I have been here for about 2 years now. I graduated Brooklyn College in 2017, and then I went to the CUNY Graduate School of Journalism, so strong CUNY background, which I'm really, really proud of. I did several internships throughout my time in school, and then ended up here as my first full-time job. And I found it to be a really great place to start my career. I think typically, you know, journalism is quite a difficult industry to get into, and you hear things about low pay and very unstable hours, especially if you're someone starting out with little experience. But, you know, by going to a trade publication, instead of being a small fish in a big pond, you have the opportunity to really focus on one specific area of coverage and kind of stand out in doing that. You have more flexibility in terms of the stories that you could write and pitch to your editors. For example, I'm really able to own my own beat. I'm not typically assigned stories. I'm really looking out for them, and I can, you know, tell my editor, I want to write about this. I want to, you know, work on a video or do a chart of some sort. So it's really nice to be at a trade publication versus, you know, going somewhere big when you're early in your career and just people tossing you around and, you know, having you do grunt work, where here you can do actual journalism and get bylines and get really good stories. But I also want to emphasize that one of the advantages of being at a trade publication, if you're not interested in journalism, is, you know, if you're interested in moving on to other things as well, I mean, is that you really become an expert in a specific industry. So that can open a lot of other doors. Let's say you want to go into PR. You know, you have these connections in the industry that you're covering, and you can go over to the other side, or you can go into financial services. So there's really a lot of job opportunities that come with, you know, focusing on one specific sector or industry.
And just to add to what Alexandra just said, I just would say, I heard earlier also somebody made the comment about, you know, it is kind of who you know in the world at times, unfortunately. And I mean, if you think about it, you're talking to a lot of pretty influential people who are placed pretty high up in organizations, if you are interested in one of, like Alexandra just said, into going one of the industries we cover. So that's just another way to look at it as well.
So Mariel asks, is a background or prior knowledge with finance required in this program?
No, absolutely not. In fact, I was pre-med before I was in journalism, and I took like journalism classes for fun, didn't really think that I'll make a career of it. And I had no knowledge of anything related to finance or investment. And just in reporting, you know, who's more interesting than people with a lot of money and a lot of power? That made me interested in finance. And I kind of learned everything that I know through the actual reporting I've done. I don't have any formal training. I don't have, you know, any kind of background in economics. It's really something that you learn by covering that beat and talking to people in the industry. Like Hannah and Andy said, we talk to people who are experts in what they do, and you really learn a lot from that.
What we cover is, we know it's very niche. We know it's not the kind of stuff you're going to go hang out with friends and talk about necessarily, you know, because it's not what most people want to talk about every day casually. But but we, like I said, we look for nerds, because we can teach the content, we can teach how to get things, we can teach that kind of thing. We can't teach, and again, stealing from an earlier presenter, the hustle. And we can't, you know, people who are ardent about wanting to dig into something and jump in and be nerds, I mean, in my opinion, you know, are well suited for this, irrespective of whether they know anything about finance or insurance markets or anything else that we cover.
So what are some of the challenges that fellows usually face during the program?
As I mentioned, the fellowship program is new this year, so I could guess what they will be, but but I can talk about interns, because we definitely have worked with interns. And, you know, I mean, I think we try to be, you know, our HR team, and the fellows also have access to this. Our HR team does have, you know, they've developed programs that the interns go through. So some of the career coaching stuff, some of the cover letter, interviewing skills, those kinds of elements are part of it, but they are, you know, one-day session type things, or, you know, part-day session type things. I think that, you know, in the beginning, honestly, you know, I think part of it is you're adapting a writing style. So, you know, our editors, you have to be willing to accept that what you file is going to be changed, or what you submit is going to be changed a lot, and understand that that's all part of the process, and everyone knows that. So just not being hard on yourself, recognizing that we know everyone needs to, you know, learn the ins and outs of the businesses and what matters to our readers. So, you know, don't take it too hard. You know, the editor's job is to make lots of changes to your work. So be open to the feedback and understand that it's all constructive. That's one thing I would say. I guess I would also say, again, because we cover very niche things, don't be afraid to ask questions. We know that what we cover isn't like common knowledge to people in general, because it is very, like, you know, only people who are really interested in that field are going to know a lot. So we expect you to ask questions, and people shouldn't be shy to ask questions. And raise your hand when you don't know something. And actually, that's just a hallmark of a good reporter. Just make sure you ask, you know, verify, don't trust, right? So.
Yeah, so Hannah, Andy, and Alexandra, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about Money Media's program with Financial Times. So we hope that Brooklyn College students will take this information and apply according to future application dates and open positions. Feel free to put your contact information in the chat so students can reach out again at other times. So last but not least, I would like to introduce co-founder Eduardo Baez with Race Botany, who will talk about the supported mentorship programs at CareerPipe. So you can take it away.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here. We really appreciate the opportunity. And today we're going to talk a little bit about CareerPipe and specifically about sales and the sales career path. So to kick us off, we have our director, Race, who will start with the introductions, and I'll tell you a little bit about our story in a little bit.
So everybody, I am Race Ot. I am the director of CareerPipe. What my job mainly consists of is pretty much everything. I focus on the recruiting side with college students and recent graduates, the corporate partner side, garnering those relationships and keeping them entrenched with the CareerPipe program, as well as working with all of our volunteers that help the educational system at CareerPipe. We have Eddie here, and we're also joined by one of our volunteers, actually, Carrie Hanrahan. Carrie, if you want to say hi real quick.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carrie Hanrahan. I'm one of the volunteers for CareerPipe. I am our board chair. And so just to give you a quick, gosh, who am I and why am I here? I would be helping all of the students that are in the CareerPipe program with preparing their job materials, and they'll talk a little bit more about that later. And so I help students work on resumes and interview prep and make sure you're confident and comfortable and you're just gonna slay the whole job getting process. So anyway, that's me. I'll go back to Race.
All right, thanks, Carrie. You already heard from Eddie. You're going to hear more about Eddie's story as we move on. We have a lot to get through today and very little time, but I appreciate everybody for making it this far. It is a long little presentation with all the companies, but those presentations were great. We're going to hope to keep up with everything. So here's our agenda today. We're pretty much through the introduction right now. We're going to talk about CareerPipe because you probably haven't heard of us. Hopefully you have. What we do, we pretty much focus on sales. Why sales? A little bit into CareerPipe's story. We'll go into the data behind that, some of the qualifications we expect, and the next steps. One thing you'll notice at the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, there is a little QR code. If at any point you're very interested and want to apply, all you got to do is take your phone, scan that, and it'll take you right to our application page, as well as all the information on the program. So we want to make sure that this is as accessible as possible to make it easy for you guys. So what do we do at CareerPipe? CareerPipe provides underrepresented college graduates a roadmap to financial independence by training them to become the best sales professional in New York City. What does that pretty much mean? It means that we are a sales training program. Our big thing is that with sales, we see that it is one of the most lucrative and fulfilling careers that you could go into, and it's very under thought of when people go into college and graduate college as a career. So we want to make sure that we are keeping that as an opportunity for everybody to really have that opportunity to get past that little bump of trying to get the bachelor's degree to then thrive in financial independence. We think that this is one of the best opportunities for that.
Also, less than 4% or 5% of colleges actually teach a formal sales curriculum. And to Race's point, a lot of people, especially from our communities, don't really talk about sales in a good light, and there is a lack of nobility in the profession. So one of the things that we're doing in tandem with the CareerPipe program is not only teaching sales curriculum and providing access to B2B sales roles for folks, but also just sharing and providing education around what B2B and corporate sales looks like from the perspective of someone coming from our communities.
So what to expect with CareerPipe? Now, there's a lot, we're going to explain a lot of this, but I want to give you guys the heads up right off the bat that we are an in-depth B2B enterprise sales curriculum. We have a wide network of corporate partners so you can land that first job. A lot of sales positions that you hear of are commission-based. We do not ever offer those. We always make sure that there's a starting salary of at least $50,000, but it goes all the way up to $80,000, and that's before you hit your bonuses when you hit your targets. We provide individual support with resumes, interview prep, and everything else that you can imagine. Carrie was here and just mentioned that. We also have a signing bonus stipend from CareerPipe when you're hired with one of our corporate partners to ensure that as you transition to your first job or first career, that if you have any expenses that are really holding you back, such as like a clothing issue or some technology issue, we're going to help you out and get you there. And once you have that first job, we're going to make sure that you have a mentor to help you in those first 6 months on the job to make sure that you are totally successful. You don't trip and fall those first couple of weeks just because you have somebody watching your back and that has already tripped and fell themselves, to make sure that you're told that everything runs smoothly.
And the best part, it is absolutely free.
That's true too. We absolutely free, which it sounds too good to be true, but we'll show you that it's true. So first things first, sales. Why are we doing sales? A lot of people have this idea that sales is that used car salesman and all they're doing is offloading inventory. That's not what we're doing. That's not what we're preaching. We're actually preaching the enterprise B2B sales, which we'll get into what that means, but that is mainly focused on customer relationships and success. It's not just selling a car. You take their money and go, okay, we sold you a fast one. Now we're good. We are not sleazy. This is developing successes within all the industries of every business that you can imagine. So let's dive into what that actually means of B2B sales. Let's start with a few examples. So every college typically has some online platform that they host all the classes in. Now those classes before these days of these online platforms like this, for example, here it's Blackboard. You used to have your paper syllabus for every class and that's all you had. And you had to stay organized with this giant file folder or binder or something, and nothing really stayed organized. That's for just the students. The professors also had to deal with this with every single class that they taught, and it was impossible to do anything. Then this software came around, Blackboard and other software companies, that they actually had salespeople call up these universities, say, hey, we have a software program that might make your life easier. Would you like to check it out? Everything from there is history, and now most of your classes in all institutions are online in some fashion. That keeps all of your assignments, all of your syllabi, everything else right in there. Same thing that could be said that just happened recently. I'm sure you guys know about this, that a lot of classes went online due to the pandemic. Zoom reached out, their salespeople reached out to all the colleges being like, hey, how can we help? You guys are going virtual now. You guys are going to need a video service for your classes. We want to be able to help you. So they found out the needs of every college, showed them the products that they had, and found the best program to help them succeed. That's what salespeople do, is just trying to find people that succeed. And I guarantee you the Zoom people are already calling Boston College, every other CUNY university there is, and or Brooklyn College, every other university there is, and everything that you can imagine. How they're going to go to the hybrid format, how they're going to keep these online classes as well as in-person classes, and how Zoom could properly help them succeed with that. That's what salespeople do. So when you look into a B2B salesperson, they start off by prospecting many companies, calling them up, showing them their product, telling them, hey, give me a chance to talk so then we can figure it out. This is where you get your cold calling, your cold emailing, your networking within your network, outside of your network, and even where possible. Then once these people agree, once these companies agree to work with you or at least try out a demo of your product, you're going to talk with them about what their needs are, discover, and this is the discovery phase, what their needs are, where you can help them, how you can help them, and then you're going to collaborate with them all the way until you find the proper product bundle that will help with a final proposal to see if they'll buy your product. At that point, you finally complete the sale, and you're not done yet, because then you want to stick with them for success throughout the product life term and for future products in the future, similar to Zoom, how they're going to check in with all the universities moving forward to make sure that there's a new product that helps them with this hybrid format, in-person format, outside person format, every format you can imagine. Yeah. When you first start, and what we're going to be focusing on is the prospecting and discovery phase, because that's more of the entry level. That's more of when you're hunting and looking to try and build your business. But then we're also going to help you throughout the program, do the collaboration proposals, and stay with your clients later on in your sales career to ensure proper success forever. How do we do that? Well, Career Pipe's path. First, you apply. Either we'll do everything in our power to make it as easy of an application as possible. All you really need is a resume and a copy of your transcript. We want to just see that you are, even if you don't have the best GPA, that you are putting it together, getting ready for career, and you're showing vigor as you move forward in your college career. And it doesn't even have to be an official transcript. You can take a photo of it for all we care. We want to make sure that we're finding the best individuals that show that hustle, that are putting it together, and that are going to succeed moving forward. Then you're accepted. Congrats. Welcome to the program. You're going to have 6 classes with us on Saturday mornings virtually. They're generally in the morning 3 hours long, some are 4 hours. And you're also on top of those classes going to go through mock cold calls, interview prep, focus on your resume to make it a sales-focused resume, and anything else that can help prepare you for the job. From there, you start applying to jobs. And guess what? We have a huge corporate network, like most of these programs do, where you can find a job easier because you already have that in through us. That's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do. From there, I want to hand it over to Eddie to really talk about the story of Career Pipe, of what we're trying to accomplish.
Everybody, thank you, Race. That was amazing. Very quickly, so when I started in my sales career, I pretty much fell into it like most salespeople. And the first thing that I realized in my first role is that not a lot of people in my immediate community, my friends, family, anyone that really was close to me in my sphere of influence actually had a B2B sales role or had a background or an education in B2B sales. So immediately when I met Scott at one of the meetup events here, and as salespeople do, we were networking. We actually had an opportunity to talk about what we felt was missing in the sales community. And I told him about my experiences, and he felt himself that there was a pretty big gap in the sales education for people who were just starting in the role. So we decided to create a program to create more access for underrepresented people, minority groups, people of color who just didn't know, or might miss their sales calling because they just didn't know that it was an option. So we started the program as a means to create access and opportunity for those people who are interested in alternative career choices. So with that, Scott and I actually developed a curriculum. I teach it on Saturdays, so you'd have access directly to me. I'd be one of your mentors as well. And we actually tapped into both of our networks to basically ensure that all of you get mentors and mentorship throughout your first couple months on the job. Back over to you, Race.
The big reason for this and why this program is important is a lot of people, there is this thing called the bachelor's bump that right when you go to college, congratulations, you guys already made it to college, you're finishing up your bachelor's degree, you're supposed to have this big bump in earnings potential. We found that the studies from Brookings, that when you come from a lower income family, you don't get the same bachelor's bump as higher income families. So we want to make sure that we close that gap and provide those opportunities. The studies are right there. I would suggest looking at it and making sure that you don't fall under this trap. The other big thing is that there's a huge gap in the marketplace with sales, that at any time in New York City, there's always 40,000 jobs available of sales positions, whether it's a sales development representative, account executive, business development representatives that are just, they can't fill because there aren't enough salespeople applying. I go on LinkedIn and I'm finding all these jobs that are available and they're having 1 or 2 applicants rather than the typical like 500 applicants that you see with any job posting. It's crazy. So we want to make sure that we are both being ready for this gap in potential lucrative jobs, as well as providing you guys the skills and the access to apply to them. Some of the qualifications that we talked about to apply, you need a bachelor's degree or be pretty close to finishing your bachelor's degree right when you finish the program. We want to make sure that we are connecting you to our corporate partners right away for interviews. Also, we want you guys to make sure that you believe in and practice our values. You'll find out all about our values on our website. Definitely check it out. We also look for people that are receiving financial aid, Pell Grant members, everything else, just to ensure that we are finding people that need this help and this access moving forward. The other thing to keep in mind is that we will interview you, and it doesn't have to be a perfect interview, but we do want to see something that's a little bit well researched in the interview. Essentially, that you've looked up what is B2B sales, what is CareerPipe's mission, and why do you want to join the program? I'm giving you the heads up that those questions are going to come up. Definitely know these questions. It's a simple interview. It's the most rudimentary part of the interview. We'll teach you more strategies once you're accepted into the program. Where does this track lead? Here are some of our corporate partners. We have many more than that. I know we're running low on time. Trust us, we got some corporate partners. They are so excited to be hiring from this pool of candidates because it enriches their sales floor so much, and they just do better. They just do better. We've all seen it. They need the different perspectives. They need everybody to succeed. So if you're ready to apply, we have the QR code at the bottom left. We also have the website link right up there. Apply via our website. It's under the For Students tab. And from there, if there are any questions, feel free to let us know. And we have our contact info in the top left corner as well.
And the application with the QR code. Thank you, Race. Not sure if we have time for questions, but definitely wanted to make sure that we both thanked Brooklyn College for the opportunity, and every student here who showed up today and maybe after seeing our presentation thinks a little bit differently about sales in the profession as a career choice.
How can interns or entry-level associates working with CareerPipe and their program make the most out of their participation?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big proponent, and I tell all of our students all the time, you get out what you put in. Sales is a profession where it doesn't always it's not always 9 to 5, despite phenomenal work-life balance. And for us, it's making sure that you leverage all the resources that we're making readily accessible for you. You're going to get access to very large networks of very talented sales professionals in their own right. You're going to get access to a lot of content and materials to honestly just ensure that you have all the resources to make you a very proficient and very capable sales professional once you do start your first career.
Thank you. So we have another question in the chat. So Anam asks, what would be your advice to those that say you need to be dishonest and face a lot of rejections in sales?
I love that question. We usually lead with that. So one of the core values in our program is that we lead from a place of transparency and empathy. And any sales professional, a true professional, will tell you that there is nobility in the profession, and that for us, it's more about the objective facts. And if you go back to that funnel, the discovery portion of our sales methodology is focused around making sure that we properly understand what are the business outcomes that people are trying to achieve, the critical challenges and problems that they're trying to overcome, and using that information and the information and the data behind the products and services that you're positioning, you're able to make very serious and very honest recommendations based on the data and the objective criteria to help your clients achieve those outcomes and those desired goals.
Thank you for answering, Eduardo. So we're going to ask another question. So how has CareerPipe sort of like adjusted their workplace amidst the pandemic, amidst like what's been going on these past years? Are there compromises to work in a virtual environment? And what are the interactions that you have working virtually or in person with your coworkers?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've done everything 1000% virtual, and we're actually very proud of that, because what we've been able to do is actually be a thought leader in the space. And a lot of the training and development that we've been doing has been adapted to ensure that all of our students continue to get the most out of the program. And we've actually have positioned things that we've learned from other corporations that have partnered with us to ensure that that is a seamless process, that people are genuinely getting value out of the training and the curriculum. So yeah, everything's 100% virtual. I still haven't even met Race in person yet, which is really cool. And we've been developing very strong bonds despite all of the Zoom meetings and the Zoom fatigue. We've been able to make it work and really build very strong culture around our virtual sales classroom.
Yeah, so thank you, Carrie. Again, Eduardo and Race, for all this insightful information. We think it's going to be very valuable, and we hope that students can apply as soon as possible. There's the application link, and we will also provide that as well after the session. Feel free to list your contact information, any email addresses in the chat, so students can continue to ask questions later on.
Yes, thank you so much for having us. And I do want to just mention one more thing. We are planning on starting a cohort in July as well as the fall. So if you want to apply, feel free to apply. We're getting rolling. We have another hiring circuit coming in September. We want to make sure we're totally prepared with a new cohort for that. We are here for you guys. So we are here and ready to rock and roll. We'll do it pretty much every quarter. So thank you again, Brooklyn College, for having us.
Thank you, Race. Thank you, Eduardo and Carrie from CareerPipe once again. And just in general, I would like to thank all of our speakers, our representatives from today, and as well as our Brooklyn College students, recent grads. I think, most of our job wouldn't be possible without the support from our employers and our students. So thank you very much for everyone who joined us today. And I want to also congratulate Saima for doing a fantastic, phenomenal work in moderating and asking our questions and leading our event today.
Make sure to check out the My Career tab on the BC Navigator app, where you can track your career progress based on the amount of credits you've earned, stay updated on upcoming events from the Magner Center, and watch our videos for insight and advice on your career field.